Hello and welcome back to What If, where we take a look at the various What If and Elseworld stories from Marvel and DC Comics. Today we're taking a look at Marvel Universe, The End! A story from the early aughts that tells the tale of the entire Marvel Universe's last moments. Before we hop in though, I should clarify, while not exactly a comic under the What If moniker, which is traditionally what we cover here for Marvel, this book is under the End imprint, which means it exists decidedly outside of mainline continuity. Regardless, we've got a lot to cover, so let us begin. Marvel Universe, The End. There is nothing. Thanos kneels in the inky blackness of the abyss, beginning to spin his tale to an unknown listener. He admits that yes, he did destroy the universe, yet not for the reasons that most would think. Where shall I begin? He questions. Then, the answer springs into his mind. Ancient Egypt, a time lost to history. The mighty pharaoh Akhenaten stands upon his temple as he stares down at his subjects. His rule, like those before him and after, is based on slaves, and his reign is ruthless. It lasted for 17 years. Then, Akhenaten was lost to history itself. Upon his death, he was a mystery. His mummy was never recovered, leading some to believe that his tomb was desecrated. Yet one night, in the Valley of the Stars, Akhenaten gazed toward the sky. A strange light came towards him. It hovered over his head, and a beam of light came down, drawing him up. In the X-Mansion, Jean Grey drops a glass. Beast reaches out to steady her, questioning why she was telling him a tale of ancient Egypt. Jean is confused, not sure where her words and visions came from. The story just came to her. They are interrupted, though, as Professor X enters the kitchen. He, too, has seen the visions. Grave approaching danger, I fear. Henry, contact and call in all X-Men, Xavier tells Beast. The force being felt throughout the universe, it was the ruler of Asgard that was the first to make contact with this approaching danger. King Thor, now the wielder of the Odin Force, stands on the balcony of his palace on Asgard. Suddenly, a face appears, giving the Lord a warning. Know that my claim to the lands you call Midgard predates Asgard's. You are given notice that any interference in my rule will be dealt with harshly, the voice tells him, and disappears. Thor is shocked, but realizes that this being is not a boastful fool, and can most likely back up his claim. In the darkness of space, the Silver Surfer comes across a path of destruction that is untold. The mighty Shi'ar fleet has been destroyed, and he finds only one survivor. The being known as Gladiator holds on with the barest of strength. He tells the former Herald of Galactus that the fleet was sent to investigate an approaching energy signature. The Force didn't even slow its pace as it decimated our ranks, Gladiator gasps. The Surfer demands to know where the Force was heading, but the Gladiator has already passed. Thanos himself has been aware of this strange force, but he wasn't pleased as he realized that it was heading towards Earth. Realizing what was coming, even the Fantastic Four were worried, deciding to join forces with the mighty Avengers. But at the X-Mansion, the X-Men had gathered together in a way that made everyone there uncomfortable. Unrest in the room aside, they all agreed that something terrible must be coming if Charles had called them all. In the basement, both Jean and Charles have hooked themselves into Cerebra. Using the machine and Jean's power, Charles has boosted the range of his own psychic abilities. He reaches out with his mind, probing the vastness of space until he feels the approaching energy. I am truly touched by this warm reception. Greetings, my subjects, the energy tells Professor X. I, the great Pharaoh Akhenaten, have returned to claim what is mine. My rule will be just. My reign will be prosperous, Akhenaten tells them. But he stares into their hearts and sees that they will not accept his truth. In the mansion, Jean quickly pulls off Cerebra in a panic, but Charles just stares at her. It is too late, he whispers. In an instant, a massive surge of energy engulfs the mansion, snuffing the X-Men from existence. Meanwhile, in Latveria, Dr. Doom watches the reports on the news, realizing that he must monitor this situation closely. In Egypt, on the spot where Akhenaten's kingdom once stood, something falls from the sky. Soon after, all of the leaders of the world are suddenly teleported, appearing in an instant to the new city of Akhenaten. They all stare at one another, blaming the others for this deception and kidnapping, but the doors open, revealing the true culprit. Akhenaten reveals himself, a being of pure energy. He repeats his message to the leaders of the world. His rule will be just. His reign will be prosperous. My empire will be restored to its former glory and beyond. Resist me in these efforts and many will die horribly. Submit to my righteous authority and the rewards will be wondrous, he tells them. To prove his power and the rewards he offers, Akhenaten waves his hand, curing the world of all disease. Return to your minor capitals and await my pleasure. Each country will be given work assignments shortly, he orders them, and with another wave of his hand, the world leaders are returned to their homes. Back in Latveria, Doom is happy to have been able to drop one of his spy drones within Akhenaten's palace. The drone follows the strange being, discovering that the city becomes more alien the deeper he goes within. Meanwhile, the Avengers prepare their plan of attack against this new being. But suddenly, Akhenaten is among them. Let it be known that Akhenaten is just and comes to you with a proposition. Become my loyal bodyguards and live, or refuse and die, the being offers. He gives them an hour to think on this, but Ben Grimm needs only a second, lunging and attacking the Pharaoh. So be it, Akhenaten says simply, his energy shield easily blocking Grimm's attack. In the blink of an eye, the Avengers are gone. Elsewhere, Silver Surfer approaches Earth, but he is suddenly teleported away. He appears in the presence of Thanos and prepares to attack the Mad Titan, but he is stopped as Doctor Strange, Namor, the Hulk, and Captain Marvel reveal themselves. Trust me, the Titan is on our side in this conflict, the sorcerer tells him. In New York City, Daredevil joins Spider-Man on the rooftops. The wall crawler tells the Man Without Fear that he is lucky, that with his abilities, he can tell where the crosses hang across the city, but he cannot see what's inside them. What is inside them? Murdock asks. Not what, who. Friends, Spider-Man tells him. Daredevil nods. He can sense no heartbeats. Who did this? He asks. Sorry, Daredevil. I've run out of answers, Spider-Man tells him. And so, the Earth fell to the might of Akhenaten, but the death had just begun. Thor, having gone and acquired the aid of Zeus, looks around in confusion, questioning where they are. Neutral territory, Thor, a rendezvous point for gods and monarchs, a locale where differing beliefs matter not, Zeus tells him. Zeus holds up his hand and an energy reaches out into the cosmos as the god calls for aid in Earth's struggle. Thor questions whether any will answer the call. This is also their universe that is imperiled, Zeus tells him. Meanwhile, Dr. Doom continues to explore Akhenaten's fortress through the eyes of his tiny drone. He laments the fact that further exploration is like descending into madness. And now this, he whispers. Before him lays a collection of time travelers frozen in some form of amber. And I am part of this garish display, apparently captured in my not-so-distant future, he muses. Which means my time to act is limited. Doom looks at the display and realizes the mighty being's one weakness and fear. His past. But Doom is shocked to discover someone else's drone flying through the immense fortress. The fact that Doom has survived this long is remarkable. Let us hope his luck holds. The data he collects on Akhenaten may prove useful, Thanos tells those gathered on his ship. He warns them that they can't compete with the being's power, and that they can only prevail through stealth. Thanos explains that they must discover the source of Akhenaten's power and deprive him of it. On another plane of existence, the gods of various myths and cultures gather to discuss this oncoming threat. They all agree that their knowledge of this cosmic being is limited, yet it is Ra who offers aid in this regard. Using the Eye of Ra, the gods are able to look upon Akhenaten. They discover that this being has imprisoned a spirit from beyond the veil, shocking the other gods who believed this to be impossible. But take heart, for all things under the stars have a weakness, Ra tells them. The gods are not the only ones watching, though, as Doom continues to monitor through his drone. Thanks to the gods and his inspection of glyphs around Akhenaten's city, he has discovered the exact time and date of Akhenaten's abduction, yet he needs the location for his plan to be enacted. Luckily, Akhenaten begins to monologue his story. It was long ago that the great pharaoh's empire reigned. He wished for more than a pyramid to be his monument. He wished to take Egypt to even loftier heights, and so, searching for strong minds, they came for him. His mind reeled as he stared around the spaceship. It almost shattered when he first met the beings themselves. When he finally gathered his wits, he looked up into what they called the heart of the infinite, from which they drew their power. Suddenly, they sent him through it. For 2,000 years, his mind danced with insanity. Another century passed as he learned to control his new gifts. 2,000 more years passed as he was indoctrinated into the celestial orders, mysteries, and protocols. He did this to gain their trust, before he convinced them to allow him to return to the home he once knew. And any who stand in the way, they will be among the fallen. Even gods must accept this inevitability, Akhenaten smiles, turning a look at the gods who watch him. Even you, Horus, he laughs, shattering the Eye of Ra. A blast rips apart the other plane, and Zeus pulls Thor free in the last possible second. the energy dissipates, revealing the bones of the fallen gods, and hope lost. And so, the beginning of the end, well, begins. This story is admittedly pretty strange. The weird history pull and Egypt stuff kind of comes out of left field, but hey, that's the fun of these AUs, wacky stuff that usually wouldn't happen in the main continuity. We'll be covering the next 2 issues on the next episode, so get subscribed to see that. And if you're super eager to catch it as early as possible, feel free to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Comicstorian, or become a YouTube member today on the YouTube channel. Join the program and you can see all of our videos earlier along with other benefits and content. Thank you so much for watching. I will catch you all later.